Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee. I would like some confirmation that you can both see and hear me before I proceed, as I'm somewhere else and I've just been setting up. There's some good chat going on already. I like this. Carol wondering why she's not been in a nightclub for 20 years. You narrowly missed out at Lard Day, Carol. You could have come out to the mega club. So here I am. Yay! What is all this stuff? This isn't my usual area. I am at Fenris Games. This is the Fenris Games office, which does it. The lights just fell on me. There we go. I'm gonna tighten that up. So yep, there's a lot of stuff here, and that's a door, believe it or not. And then there's more things through there. I have mug. We'll go for the D-Day mug today. Nice and calm. I've just been running around between different devices trying to get signed in. So I've got there in the end. Phew. Got quite a bit to talk about. Hopefully some juicy gossip as well. Obviously, must first address that we did lose our queen the other day. So I don't know if there's a thing to say. But yes, rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth II. I was going to go into some of her wartime happenings, but everywhere is doing that at the moment, so I'll let them do it. But yes, we do have the mini of the Queen, because it was quite nice to research her when we did the model a while back, and how she went in the ATS, whereas she was more expected to go into the WAF because it was a much sort of higher class sort of thing, but she went into the ATS to help to sort of destigmatise, because the ATS was seen as a bit of a chavvy working class thing. So that was really cool. But yeah, I've noticed that everywhere is doing all of that. So I'll give you a bit of a break in between all that to talk about Rubble. So much Rubble. COcast. I'm on it. Don't worry. Yep, that's why I head's here, looking for the COcast gossip. I can hold it in no longer. Still got, the coffee's cold because I've been running around getting everything done. And why am I here at Fenris Games? What madness is this? So I guess we'll talk about that first, but we will go on to half-truths and untruths told by other company. So, we got this week and last week. There was no show last week, so thank you for coming back. I've just realised I've not posted it onto the Facebook page. Give me a moment there. I posted it in the group, but not the Facebook page. Although it's usually mostly for Mum, and she's not about. No, I don't want to review changes to the page. No. Oh, scum. It was scum. Oh well. Oh no, there we are. I can post it there. I'll just put a cheeky live now. Sorry about that. I thought I'd have time, but then ended up running around getting logged on. Post now, yes. Facebook have changed everything again, so I think they've actually made it better this time, which is a nice change. What I used to like doing is you could log on as your page. So I'd be on Facebook, but I'd be in the Bad Squiddo tab. So I wouldn't get any notifications because I'd just live as Bad Squiddo and I comment as Bad Squiddo, and I loved it, and they took that away. But they seem to have brought it back. But live now. Got all the juicy gossip today. But yeah, the Facebook page is awful. There's so many messages in there because I wasn't getting notifications, but now I might actually get notifications when I have messages, and I tend to just avoid it. I go there to post an update, but then most of when I am in there, I'll go in Baggy's Cave because the group's a bit easier to sort of sort through. So yes, got that. That's all sorted. I'm here. So there was no show last week. I've not been very well. I'm still not very well, but I'm a bit better, obviously. I won't go too much into it, but I've been having some mega brain struggles. So I didn't really have anything to report last Sunday. I wasn't good, and I thought I know I'm not nice and honest, but I didn't want to do a show where I didn't really have anything to say and I was in a bit of a state. So no one really wants that. So I didn't do a show last week. And this week I am. So yeah, not much happened last week. Then this week I worked. What did I do? Both nothing and lots of things have happened, but I can't talk about it. So I mentioned before that I'm in a not a war. Yeah, I'm in a bit of a war with another company. Not war games. It's not war games drama. But it's taken up all my time basically. So when I have got some brain and energy and all that, I've been having to do this really frustrating paperwork and all that sort of nonsense. And that's frustrating because I'm not doing a bad Squiddo. I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing because of someone else, and it's all vague, but I can't tell you everything. But yeah, it's doing really stressful work that isn't to do with creating minis. So it's been a bit tough, but when I have been doing the things, I'm getting there and I'm making quite a bit of progress. So I think that's sort of helping. Also, yes, orders have been going out as always and all that, so don't worry about that. We've had a few post strikes, but they haven't made a massive impact. Just you might be waiting a couple more days, but they haven't done many strikes in a row. And they obviously called off Friday, but I'm not there. So partly due to my mental health madness and the postal strikes and Fenris Games working on a new Kickstarter, I decided I need to get out of my rut, though I have no money to go anywhere. So I thought, why not deal with my overwhelm by going and dealing with someone else's overwhelm? So yes, so Fenris is working on Rubble City, which I'll show you some bits. And since Wednesday, I've been at Fenris working solidly on the Rubble City Kickstarter, which I've now taken over and it's now mine. Sorry, Ian, but it's mine now. My Kickstarter. Mine. But I don't get any of the money, so that's the downside. Also my dog. I've taken over his dog. Also my dog, so I just waltzed in here and declared it all my own. No, so I've been working pretty solidly, as Ian can contest, since Wednesday on Rubble City 2, which is launching on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. So I've got all that to talk about, and yeah, I'm really proud of that. Actually, it has given me a nice little achievement in terms of just making something look really cool, because I'm ace. I like this. This is a very flattering light. Actually, I quite like this. Let's see. This is why Ian's got it here. Like a de-aging thing, but yeah, so I get to just be mean because I'm doing all the work. So I've got lots of stuff Rubble City wise to show you, because that's what I've been doing this week. And yeah, it's not directly Squiddo, but it's nice. It's that whole help each other out sort of thingy, because that's all you can do now. Things are pretty crap all around, aren't they? But if you can help out some other people, then that's a bonus. I will talk about Rubble City shortly. Yeah, I've got all this cool rocks and stuff, and I love it. And one of the reasons I'm helping, obviously, is I'm very good friends with Fenris. But if it was crap, I wouldn't. I'd just be like, yeah, you got it, man. But I've been watching it being built over the last few months, and it's so good, and I'm so jealous of it. I'm like, this is a really cool range. And like me, it's the one person band that's overwhelmed, and he doesn't have as many, though he is very good at what he does. He doesn't have those graphic skills and the promo skills, because he's very much the creator. You know how sculptors suck at taking photos of their own sculpts. Anyone that might be watching that's a sculptor, and stuff like that. So I've come to lend the skills, that's it, isn't it? Fill in the gaps where people can't do it. So I've come in to do graphics, web having to change. I was just going to do some photos. Doing the photos, the graphics, the theme tune, the rewording a lot of what he's put on the Kickstarter, because it's quite interesting to look at someone else where you know their range very well, but so you know what they do, and then some of the stuff he's kind of typed up, like Ed says there, says I suck at marketing myself. So yeah, Ian have typed something like, these buildings aren't bad, you can get these. So yeah, I kind of gone in and gone, the best buildings, they are wicked, whilst playing the piano. So it's been quite good doing that, and that sort of like, you know, the whole thing about charity also being a bit being a bit selfish. It's that whole like, I'm helping out, but I get that whole like nice feeling of doing a help out, which is good. But I'm pretty invested in this Kickstarter now, so yesterday I had to double check I wasn't overtaking it. I was like, do I need to back off? I'm like, right, I'm going to name this. This is going to happen here. This is here. But that's it. Sometimes you get stuck, and yeah, having someone to just sort of go, right, this is what's happening is a bonus. And the stuff is absolutely wonderful. I really like it. I think it's genius. So we'll show you some of that. Shall I show you it now? I want to get talking about ZUCC. No. So I've got to be careful, because one of my rules is to not badmouth other companies. It's never good. It's never a good thing. I promote what I like, and I ignore what I don't like. Well, it's that whole don't give, you know, adverts to things you don't like. And I especially respect that in, you know, obviously other miniatures companies, because there's going to be people, I don't like what they do, but they don't like what I do probably, and we just leave each other to it because there's no point. But I feel need to talk about this ZUCC malark after I mentioned it before, I think, because a few of you, and I went on one of my tangents, but I saw something on Twitter yesterday that enraged me, and I feel I need to inform. It's more informing rather than that sort of thing. So it's a system. It's a company, so that's the name of the company that will probably end up watching this. Hello, I will not use your products. It's different. I won't go too madly into it because I've done that before, but you've seen it around. They've been kind of getting into some of the influencers as well now. So you see, I think Ubertown did a big video on, you know, like, ZUCC guys gave me the tour and everything, and this is the best, and it's the future of wargaming. And quite often I get people saying, oh, why aren't you using this? And I'm like, and I kind of go, it's just not for me. But I have looked into it a lot, and I see it a lot, and I talk to people about it, and they go, I've just invested into this thing, and now it's killing my business. And I'm like, cool. Allegedly, this is where I get in trouble. But right, I want to just sort some facts, basically. So, and again, no shade on anyone who uses it. I said it before. It's you've all got to do what you've got to do. I'm just looking at the comments there. Some good chats going on. People do what they do, and that certain things work for different companies, all that sort of stuff. So on absolute face value, it's just not for me. It doesn't suit Bad Squiddo. But that's fine. Like that's how things work. But the marketing has been bothering me. So it's Ian will tell you in the comments, because he knows more about the technical side of it than me, what is ZUCC. But it's this weird well, it's an in-betweeny process, because plastic takes a lot of money to set up, and some people just don't want metal anymore because it's heavy to ship. It's not so great if you're doing like a boxed game or something. People want that sort of plasticky goodness, but if you haven't got the budget and stuff, everyone's kind of looking for this mid-ground, and resin's very labour intensive. So people want this sort of like between resin and plastic sort of thing, which is why you've had GW's Failcast, Mantic's, what's it called? Restic, all that sort of stuff. I think War Machine have got something going on there as well. Reaper Bones, which is ZUCC, which I didn't know. But yeah, everyone's kind of trying to find this MIDI bit. I'm not, because that's not a bit that I'm interested in. It's more if you're really mass producing and stuff like that. So I'd rather, I've always been very stuck on the quality. Oh, it's weird having a big screen. I've got a big screen. Yeah. Sorry. So one of the things that was bothering me was their advertising, and obviously I'm a manufacturer, so I'm on their hit list. So they'll send out quite a lot of, this is why you need ZUCC, this is why it's better. One that annoyed me lately was one that said, it was basically like, when you use our product, your customers won't, your staff won't get cancer. Was basically it. Yeah, it's like, you haven't quite said that if people use metal and resin that your staff are going to get cancer from it, but you've implied it. It's very clever marketing. I mentioned before it was like the Larson, what's it, with the cereal, where it's all these different cereals, and then there's one that says asbestos free, and it's just like a genius marketing. So it's that sort of thing. So that kind of got my back up, because metal and resin won't give my casters cancer as long as they're using the correct safety protocols, which they are. So already, so they're trying, what they're doing to elevate their product is to make resin and metal look bad, instead of just saying, oh, here's our thing. It's like, here's our thing, it's superior to this. So they will have an advert where it will show the same model in resin, metal and ZUCC. And the metal in particular, it's like they've chose the worst casting ever that's been cast wrong, so it's all pitted, the details lost, it's been rolled around in a sock for a bit. So on those propaganda pictures, basically, you've got you've got metal, ZUCC, sharp, crisp. And it came relevant when I was reading an update on the Heresy Kickstarter yesterday, which is worth a read. It's awful. I feel very bad for Andy. It's one of the hate to tell you, told you so sort of things. Although I didn't get a chance to warn him because he didn't ask beforehand. But it's grim, and it's not a unique experience either. But part of what he said, so one of the issues in his Kickstarter, so he's done a ZUCC Kickstarter, and he announced it, and he said everywhere, he was like, yes, this is the future, this is revolutionary. And I thought, no, what are you doing? I did sort of think, I'm going to see if he's going to be saying that in a few months. And it's been a few months, and he is not. So he's done an update on why his Kickstarter is late and why he has no money. And it's it'd be very good, actually, if someone who doesn't have to be a little bit controlled to cover this. Like one of those, I might get one of those proper YouTubers on it. But in it, he says he spent a lot of time. So it's trying to go back a bit so that what's the word? Because it's that assumed knowledge. I think actually you don't know the thing, so I'll go back a bit. So when you, where am I got to? I want a coffee. My coffee's getting cold. Damn it, Fenris, that's my analogy. Monorail stole my analogy. See, I'll steal your Kickstarter and your dog. It is. Watch the monorail sketch. That is it. So me being concise as ever, of course. So when you make a model, let's see. Me looking around the Fenris desk. Are there any sculpts? There aren't. I'll use a random thing. That thing, not that thing. I don't even know what he's got here. What's this? Let's try. The desk's full of things. Right, there's a random mini. I don't know what it is. So pretend this is a sculpt. You have your sculpt. How does this become a mini? I'll go very quickly, don't worry. So your sculpt will, if it's resin, if you're casting in resin, the sculpt will go into resin mold. You get a master mold. You get a resin sculpt out of that. And that's the master. And that's within obviously like minus 0 %, but it's pretty much a carbon copy of it. It's crisp, it's got all the details. So that's the copy, and then that is what you make molds from. When you're casting in metal, you can cast straight from it, but if you keep masters, it means that you can. So I'm not being my usual eloquent self, and I am eloquent sometimes, but yes, it means something. Sorry, let me start again. You put your mini in the thing, you make a copy, you make a few copies of that, that goes into a production mold. So you're really close to your actual thing. In metal, you do the same process. So you put them in a master, you sculpt in the master mold, and then from those metals, you make the production mold. There's such a minute difference, and if you're a good metal caster, you can get it up to the level of resin, basically. Sometimes I just like, if it's extra nice, I like to do it in resin. But a good metal, I said before, people say, oh, I don't like resin, or I don't like metal, or I don't like plastic. They're not created equally. You get good metal and good resin casters and bad ones as well, and different techniques. And I'm very confident in saying that what I use is ace. It's really good metal, it's really good resin. So obviously, I have dealt with and I've seen very bad metal and very bad resin. Hey, his snag. Hello, good morning. So what am I getting at? So there's nothing wrong with those techniques, basically. They are ace. So what ZUCC were saying is they were saying that if you cast things in metal, they lose all their detail, they're all full of holes, and it's generally a warped, horrible version of what your sculpt is. And what they had Andy doing was to cast the minis in resin and then use the resin in the ZUCC mold, so it's the same amount of steps, yes? So you master in resin, then put those resins into a ZUCC production mold, which he has posted is £500, which is madness. That is absolute madness. £500 a mold. Compared, like currently, it depends on different companies, but metal molds, depending on quality and stuff, it's usually between 50 and 150 quid. So up to £500 for this mold. So he was making resin versions of everything to put in there. And a lot of them were based on figures that were already in resin. So he was working away on that. And then, so this is all from his update. And then they said, oh no, actually, we need metal masters now. I don't know if they changed the process or something. So they then went, we need metal masters. And he went, but I've only got the models in resin, which means you have to master them again, because if you put resin into a metal mold, it dies because it's under a lot of heat and pressure. So that is a bit of a resin, an old resin, don't judge it. It's one of the last casts. I think it's one that he mucks about with. So you've got your resin. Where am I at? Losing my track of thought. So you put the resin into the metal mold and it will melt. But you can cast in heat resistant resin, which is a whole different thing, which is what my casters use sometimes. A lot of people use it depending on what you've got. If you want to be a bit careful. So sometimes we will put, my casters will put resin into the metal production mold to make a metal production mold. That happens quite a lot. So that's fine, but it has to be cast in this heat resistant resin. It's a special resin, and I'm not entirely sure, but I think you might need a different silicone with it. I'm not sure. Again, Ian's the technical person. So you've got your cast, but you can't do anything with it. And a lot of the times when you make a thing, the original is destroyed. So he's either had to go back, fix the originals, or then get this cast, then put it into another mold to recast it into this super heat proof resin, to then put it in a metal mold, to then get those casts, which at this point would be production casts, to then put into a CO cast mould. So you see there's extra steps, and at every step you lose quality. So Ed said, I thought CO cast requires rubber moulds, not silicone/metal. Why it's more expensive? No, it's a similar, but it's their own particular mix. But it's nothing particularly wild. It's the same slabs that you get. So look at that. I'm going, glad I'm not in the casting industry. My brain's going round and round. Yeah, the logistics. So by this point, you've got a production cast, effectively, which, say, for example, is this. I don't know what this is. I've just found it. So that's normally what you'd get in your hand, and that's great. But that's going into another mould. So yeah, even if it's a tiny fraction, it's going to lose a bit more. It's going to lose a little bit more detail, maybe slightly softer. Again, most of it's not going to be notable. So, but yeah, so this is then going to be used as a master. So exactly what Pandemonium is saying here. We go back to their advertising, and they're saying this is inferior and rubbish. It isn't. So they're saying this is rubbish. This isn't like our wonderful CO cast. It's all distorted. But we'd like you to put this into one of our molds to use that as the clone, basically, and everything will be cloned from this piece of crap. So, see what I mean? That's what really got me. I thought, your own advertising's catching up with you. So either you're lying by saying that metal is awful and inferior and scummy, which we wouldn't possibly do, or you're happy with what you believe to be inferior and rubbish being used as the master version in your product. So it makes no sense, basically. So yeah, if you really believe that metal is scum, metal is scum, you're using metal instead of the mass. So metal, a metal cast that's been cast twice by this point, is being used instead of the sculpt in the same situation. So it doesn't make sense. And obviously, metal isn't scum. It's that traditional advertising thing where, yeah, you choose the worst of something. Like when people lose weight, but they haven't really lost any weight, and they'll have the before photo where they're like, so this is me before, slouched in an unflattering thing. Then I drank special tea, and now I've got a flattering hairdo and I'm sucking my belly in, sort of thing. It's like, it's not a fair comparison. What they're saying, their main argument is casting metal deteriorates the molds very much quicker. Also, no, your mold can go for a very long time. It depends on the skill of the mold maker. But even replacing the mold, it's not going to be 5 times the amount. And that's a lot of spins by that point. That's when you're really selling a lot. Drink another thing. I'm trying to be informative. I don't want you to think that I'm just there going, because it's bothering me, because it's very bad. I don't know if anyone, I know some of you were in the Blackjack Legacy live stream on Monday. That was brilliant. You should go. It's talking about, the cost of living crisis in the UK and how it's affecting, obviously wargames companies as well as everyone, small businesses. So we're all really struggling. Everyone is struggling. And it's all that sort of chain where everyone relies on stuff. And then you've got, I've got to be careful, but you've got a monorail salesman basically coming in and going, invest all this money into this thing and it will make all of your dreams come true. So I feel like people are being missold, and I was very sort of like, I won't publicly say anything, it's just a thing. And I'm getting more and more angry that other wargames companies that don't have I'm everywhere, wherever there's industry gossip, I am there. I want as much information as I can to make up my mind on things. But if you're not as aware as I am, and someone turns up and they sell you all this stuff, and Andy says in his update on the website, it says, oh, you can do this, this, this. And then that could destroy your business. You're not making an informed decision because they're not. Yeah, that's it. You can't make an informed decision, basically, because you're not being given the information. And then people get locked in. It's creaking. What's creaking here? And it is, I have said it's very MLM-y, multi-level marketing-y stuff, where they go, okay, you buy the machine's very expensive, it's like 100 grand to get set up, but you can offset the cost by hiring it out to your mates. If you get other companies involved, and I'm very concerned that it's this bubble and the support or whatever is suddenly going to go, and everyone's switched everything to be in ZUCC, which everything is specific. So if you, as I said before, you buy a mould, a rubber mould, you can get that from anywhere, Marks and Spencer's. Everything's really generic, basically. All the equipment for casting is generic. It's like saying a piece of paper, blue tack, not blue tack, that's a brand, because I've got this in front of me. You know what I mean? It's stuff. It's a block of cheese. You know? But if you are in ZUCC, you have to use everything ZUCC branded. You can't use any other things. So you have to go to them to get the things. So before, if they at any point want to up the price, or world things happen like pandemics and wars where the supply chain gets everything. So even if I thought the material was the best thing possible, I still wouldn't go for it based, they're going to totally come for me. This video is going to get to them now. They're going to come for me. Hence, Carol. Was it? Yeah. So even if I thought, this stuff's great, I don't want to be tied to one specific company that especially is not in the same country as me. And I know they have reps in different countries, but that doesn't seem good. And bigger companies can weather that. If something happens, they go, oh, bugger, we're now going to have to go back to some other thing. Or maybe, sometimes I don't know what I publicly can say. There's another big-ish company, that use basically the same technology, but it's not ZUCC, but it's the same technology. And that's smart. They've gone, we like how this works, but we're gonna sort of develop or sort our own thing. But yeah, bigger companies can weather that a little bit. Smaller companies, that could finish you off. That could be it, because you're now stuck in that system and you don't have enough money to then get out of it. And there's a lot of pride in this industry, and instead of people, wanting to say, I've messed up, I've been missold this thing, they have to keep going. So they have to just keep saying, yeah, it's brilliant, because they've got all this stock sat here. They're not going to go, yeah, it's crap. So they're stuck with it, and it's really sad. And then they might go, crap, I now need to, it's total sunk cost. Now I need to convince my customers that it is really good, and other companies. So when I'll say to someone, how's the ZUCC going? Like, yeah, it's fine. And the fact people have said things like, I've held one, it's not bad. I'm like, I don't want not bad. I want it to be brilliant. I want to go, this is really impressive. I like this, rather than it's all right. So yeah, it's a definite eggs in the basket thing, and I'm seeing it. And now that post, so it's the Ghouls Kickstarter from Heresy. There are public things where people have said, oh yeah, this isn't so great, but Andy has really gone for it in that update, and more people need to see that, I think, and see the trouble that's cost him in what should have been a really simple Kickstarter, because he wanted to take the machines just sort of go on and off in here. I'm just about used to it now. But yeah, he was a perfect example of that. And if Andy does see this, I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's like, yeah, they approached it. I can't remember if they approached him or he approached them, but yeah, they've said, you can do this Kickstarter, and the plan is that you put it all to the side, because he casts himself. It's similar sort of setup to this. We'll take care of it. That's all going to fine, and then you can work on your next project. which makes sense. We can fit, he said as well that like, you can fit loads in this mold, so here are the costs. So yeah, you think that's great. That sounds good to me. That will solve an issue. And then months down the line, he's still having to fix bits up, and he said then he didn't get any. It's a disaster. It says on his update at one point they were being cast in Spain, and he didn't know that the stuff had gone to Spain. And the whole idea is that you whack it to them, they go boop boop boop. Look at our system, we can churn out all these casts. There you go, done. And another thing that bothered me was that he's having to chop the minis up even more. It's a very flat casting process. And the stuff now, like if you've seen some of the resins that even some of the metals that my guy, and it's not me comparing it, but some of the stuff my guys do has totally blown my mind, because in the 80s everything had to be like, we're all on one plane. But using the same technology, you can really, like the one where the nurse has got the medic and everything, it's in one piece. I'm like, how do you even, what? So the tech's awesome. So figures can be single piece and they can still be really dynamic now. But when you go to CEOcast, you go in backwards because everything has to be flat, or a million pieces. So some of these figures, like the ghouls, which were already quite a few pieces, he's having to cut them down even further. And those maggot men are lovely, and in resin they're sort of, I'm looking at random stuff, they're like a chunk of resin and they're lovely, but to put them in a CEOcast mold he's had to slice them up and stuff even more. So I'm like, what's the benefit? So it is very flat, and the there's times where I think it does work and it's a good idea. What are those warlord things, the warlord little guys, whatever it is, the little one of their games, is it like 10 mil or something? I've seen some photos of molds of that, and yeah, they're just little dudes that are all like that, and that's easy, just pop them all out and they're done. Again, we're saying with like board game figures and stuff. But yeah, more parts is more money. So he said he was quoted at 1 mold and it's now going to be 3 molds. That's gone from 500 to 1,500 just for the mold. And I'm baffled. I'm still in shock from reading that yesterday. I just thought that guy has been screwed over. And that's just one guy. And there's going to be other people in that situation. And he's then got to go back to his backers and say, I'm sorry, it's not going to be, I promised you it's going to be this date, and now it's not. And you're stuck with that, and it's that whole thing's outside of your control, and it sucks. And I just thought that really sucks. So there's so much on this desk to play with. So I wanted to talk about it, and yeah, don't go picketing anyone that uses it. Don't message CEOcast or anything, but just keep your eyes out when you see it. It's once you notice it, and you see the circle of life of people like, oh, this is great, and it's revolutionary, it's gonna change the world. And then you see as time goes on and they're using it, and then they'll just go back, but they'll go back to metal or resin, but only if they can afford to, because it's so much money that's been invested, and you don't want to look like a dick. No one wants to look like a dick. And yeah, it's already hard enough. And then, of course, people buying into that, and then there's casters losing, people who are resin casting and metal casting, and then losing their clients because they're going into say CEOcast, and then that, when everything's so fragile at the minute, maybe for that small casting company, so I'm reading the comments, maybe for that small casting company, that's the last straw, and they can't afford. This other company goes to this new CEO thing, and then I was trying to not name them. I've named them the whole video. That doesn't work, and then there's no caster to come back to, and then everyone's screwed. I know it sounds like I'm maybe being a bit, but this is what I've thought for a while, and I've not said anything, and now I'm just seeing it happen. So I'm absolutely not saying don't support it, don't buy the minis, because some of the minis are absolutely fine, all this sort of stuff. It's not the fault of anyone who's been sold into it. And yeah, if you know about anything to do with that sort of multi-level marketing, people, you don't want to be horrible to people, because they've been duped and people get shamed and all this sort of thing. So there might be a situation where there's someone who has bought in and they know that it's not, that is what they thought it was, but they're in this horrible, like, having to keep trying to get other people to invest in it because it's their only way out. And it's just like, I'm so glad, because it's starting to fall now, but there was a time where almost every day people were like, monorail, and I'm thinking, it's like psychology. Oh, this is so creaky. How does he live? But it's yeah, it's that whole peer thing. I'm like, all my peers are doing it. Why am I wrong? But I've stuck to it and gone, I'm going to stick, because the stuff that I know, I like it. I'm like, am I the old man? Am I not adapting? And yeah, because everyone's like, it's great. And yeah, now it's not so great. And yeah, I am concerned, but because it is going to be a really grim time. And if that sort of investment's enough to finish off companies, it's just horrible. And yeah, especially that bit I noticed with them saying, metal sucks, but it's fine to use it as a master. Like, that's just proof that your advertising is disingenuous, and I don't like it. I don't like it. And yeah, that's before you even talk about what the material's like. It's just that aggressive. It's very aggressive marketing, and it's very much. It seems like they are very much like, let's shut everyone down and get everything into ZUCC. And yeah, a lot of this industry is like, there's room for everyone. Just, if that's what you want to promote, that's great. But as soon as anyone starts trying to get rid of someone else, that's when I go like, So yes, hopefully that has been interesting for you. But yeah, don't be mean to anyone. Just keep your eye out when you see it. When you see people, there was one, I won't name it, but there was a Kickstarter recently by someone I very much respect, and you'll know what I'm talking about if you know. And the stuff is brilliant. And one of the selling points, it's like you see people saying the same things because that's the line they've been sold. And one said, because we're using ZUCC, we can now manufacture the figures in Europe, America, Australia, and the UK, I think it was. And that means there's no customs charge because we can manufacture everywhere because of ZUCC, which is great. And you read that as a customer and you go, oh, wicked, that's really cool. But you can do that with metal and resin. That's not something that you couldn't have done before. But they sell it like, and I had it with another UK company I was chatting to about it, and he was saying, oh yeah, but it does mean that I could get a partner in America and they could manufacture in ZUCC then and avoid all the import. And yeah, I said to him, you can do that anyway. If you want to do that route, you can do that with metal and resin. And so you can do that, but also with like metal and resin, they're both skills that you develop over time. And a lot of the people with ZUCC machines still aren't sure how to use them. So it doesn't make any logical sense as to why you do that. But it's all the hype and all the selling that it just sucks them in, and it's too late. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't be crappy to anyone who's got into it, because it's not that whole like, I'm smart, I haven't been sucked in. It's all situational, and I'm sure I've been sucked into other stuff in the past, or I guess in my personal life for sure. That thing where you're like, what was I thinking? How did I go along with that? Because you can't see at the time. And yeah, I just think it's just a bit sad if that's going to affect those little companies. Yeah, if they haven't come for me yet, they will come for me now. Yeah, but it's that Annie woman. What was it? There's a head of a very large company that knows me as that feminist, which is amazing. I'm out causing trouble. I'm out. Yeah. So I hope that was informative. And yeah, it doesn't. I'd really just want to say, don't go for anyone. And some of the products will be fine, I'm sure, that feminist into my, yeah, I'm that feminist. It's amazing. But yeah, I don't, from the marketing perspective, I just don't like it. Yeah, I'm just really, one of the reasons that's got me in my sort of downer lately is this whole everything going out. It's just really hard. It's really hard for businesses. I'm tired. Like I've survived the Brexit and COVID, which have been awful for businesses. They've put me into some right long-term positions as well, with all the stuff I had to do to get through it. And now there's something else, and to the extent, like, there's just going to be a point where it's just out of your control. You see in those companies that are saying we're going to have to close because our bills have gone from 500 quid a month to 5 grand a month or something like that. I'm hiccuping. I won't go into that because that's too sad. But if you are interested in that sort of chat, go to the Blackjack Legacy. It was last Monday's stream, and I was in the chat the whole time like that. Talking about weathering the next recession and all this sort of stuff. But I watched that and I was really pumped afterwards. That actually helped. Because I was saying, like, it's very easy to get into that mega sad, which I know. But you've just got to treat it as a challenge because that's all you can do. And yeah, I feel like if there's people exploiting other people in there. Peter says, talking of bad marketing, I saw that advert that basically said buy our models if you want to keep your angry wife happy. Don't sorry. That one as well. Yep. Oh, that's one where I'll have to save for my memoirs. I've got some stories about that. But yeah, there's a lot. And I think I said to someone when that was going around the internet, it's like, if I have to pick my battles because I'll just read. That's in the like feminism stuff aside, the whole women in wargaming. Like there's just a lot, so some bits have to just go, yep, that's bad, or just laugh at it, because all I can do is laugh at it and go, of course this thing is terrible. But reading that heresy update yesterday, it made me really angry, because I just thought, that sucks, that's exploitative. The guy's in a really crappy situation and is just being, it's already in a crappy situation, and yeah, it's like, oh, the only way out of it is to just keep giving us money, effectively. And yeah, that costs, like, oh, this isn't what we actually agreed on. It's also, that's not how I work with stuff. You agree the thing, and that's the quote. That's how it works. Voorhees says, I feel like I spent a lot of time in a permanent Clint Eastwood meme face. It is. It's just, yeah, it is. That's all you can do. But yeah, I wanted to tell someone, because I'm just watching it all happen, going, this sucks. So yeah, just keep your eye out for it, basically. And when people are there saying, oh, have you heard about ZUCC? It's the best thing ever. It's going to revolutionise the hobby. Because it's not just that. I'm like, okay, I don't like it, but I'll let them do their thing. But it's the way I said before, that they that in order to grow, they're kind of saying that our stuff's crap, and that's where I'm like, now we have a problem. So, because people parrot it across social media, because you keep saying it, their marketing's so heavy. It's like, ZUCC superior, metal res and ZUCC. ZUCC superior, metal and res and ZUCC. And I'm like, hang on, you're going around really spreading misinformation. And yeah, it's not like it's like, oh, we've wound up the metal and resin people. No, because if it really was that great, I'd use it, but I don't. So yeah, there we go. I've got some positive things to talk about, and it's not even to do with Bad Squiddo. Woo! Finish this coffee, and then don't worry, I won't go on too much longer. But I've got some of what I've been working on this week to show you. And yeah, that's it. Hell, competitions are good. There's plenty of times there's other wargames companies that I've seen something and gone, but yeah, there's no point in me actually talking about it, because again, I'm sure I annoy people sometimes. Yeah. Carol says, I want to know about Stu. Oh, you'll kill me for telling you all. So, Squiddo Games at Colours. I saw a bunch of you in the comments there. We're talking about Colours. Really sad that I didn't get to go to Colours. It's my choice because I'm not doing what's on the t-shirt. It's a helicopter. It's the Carolina wine mixer from Step Brothers. Carolina wine mixer. So Colours is one of my favourite shows, but I'm just not doing shows at the moment. I was really thinking, shall I do it? Oh, no. So I'm now just thinking of this being played back to the head of CO. They're like, what is she and her? So where am I at? Yeah, Colours is awesome. Colours is a wicked show. But I've pulled out of all shows apart from Expo, Salute, and Vatmatech. 2 because they're absolutely huge and they make me money, and I get to go full Squiddo because they're such big, high energy shows. And Vatmatech because it matches all those whilst not being as big, but I absolutely love it. I love Vatmatech, and I've got my nice little corner in there. So as a rule, I'm not doing shows. So I was tempted, like, no, I need a rule. But a big goodness around it is that Great Squiddo Games are my reps at shows, so they go to them all. I gave them my stand as well because I did have one booked because it was on Mega Rollover, so they had a massive stand. So they were the people to go to yesterday at Colours for some bad Squiddo goodness. But apparently one of the staff wasn't on the stand and it was being one-manned. Will there be balloons at next Salute? Yes, there will. Yes, so if you've seen Great Escape at shows before, you'll know there's the little ginger fella and the tall fella. The little ginger fella had been out with Dave Thomas and co. And they were drinking a lot of whiskey on Friday night. So the little ginger one was unable to work at the trade show that they had gone to because of the hangover. So he was in the van asleep for the show. I messaged after you mentioned Carol, because he had messaged and said, I've got some stories from the show. And I messaged him and said, you didn't even go to the show. They said, someone gossiped. Who gossiped? And I said, heard it on Twitter. So yeah, they're normally very quiet and reserved Stu of Great Squiddo Games wasn't at the show because bigger boys got him drunk on Friday. And I'm sure Dave Thomas and co, they do, if you go to ever been to a show, you'll know them. They always have the Perry and loads of plastic box sets. They're very northern. I'm sure they were absolutely fine because they are hardened booze hounds, but poor old Stu was destroyed, I think. So they were plying him with whiskey, so bless him. But they did do very well, and they said they sold a lot of bad Squiddo, so that's excellent. Right, it says, I thought drinking was what happened after the shows, not before. That's the downer. That's why one of the reasons I like Crisis, because you get to see, I've got loads of trade mates, and it's great to see them and catch up, and also that for the cynical side of it, that whole schmoozing and networking. But the night before the show, you don't want to stay up. Well, you don't want to stay up too late because you'll miss the show. And everyone goes home the night after, so I always want to stay one more night and hang out with people, which is what we used to do at Crisis. It does mean Expo is actually quite good for that. But even Salute's the one. I see people I just don't see. I only see them once a year at Salute, and it's normally me. I normally end up staying up to about 2 before Salute, which doesn't help. I did, yeah, that was one of the reasons this year I stayed up beyond the bar closing, because I'm a monster, because I was so stressed. It's like it's all this stress on the build-up, and then you get to go in the pub and see people that you like, and yeah, it's like, oh, it's you, and then you just be going like, I'm going to go to bed after this, and then you'll see, a whole bunch of one company sort of walk through the hotel lobby, and you're like, oh, I'll stay with a drink with them. So yeah, it's madness. But I've never missed a show. I am normally very, very well behaved because I have to be. The people who aren't behaved are people who work for the bigger companies because it's not on them. So if I go to a show and then I'm a mess and all hungover all day, I'm not going to sell much and I just hurt myself. But if you're employed, then you can go out party, and then it doesn't matter if you don't sell that much because it's not you still going to get paid. So they're usually the most dangerous. So yeah, I want to show you some of what I've been working on. So before we get to that, Bad Squiddo news. Yeah, I have just been stuck in this wrangle, not with ZUCC. I think he's doing Rubble. He normally does, doesn't he? I've just been stuck in my own wrangle and my own mega depression. As actually, I'm joking about it, but again, what can you do? But yeah, I've been in quite a bit of a state for the last fortnight. So weirdly, I thought I'd go around and deal with Ian's crap instead. So not much Bad Squiddo news. I'm keeping on top of things. If you're waiting for an email, that'll get there a bit sooner. I've been here since Wednesday, and the internet here sucks. It's all right on Ian's computer, but I've been having to use my phone as a hotspot for my laptop, and then yesterday the phone had no internet. It's fun. So I've been doing a little bit of Squiddo stuff, just keeping things ticking over. But I know we're on 55 minutes, and I'm like, oh, okay, Ian, get the bacon on. Get the bacon on. I'm getting bacon sandwiches after this. Maybe an egg. So just running around. So I've kind of just, weirdly, it's stressed myself out because I took on the stress of Rubble City Kickstarter. What am I like? I was like, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect. So Rubble City, it's modular ruins. I love ruins and castles. That's why I'm very excited. So it's nothing to do with me. It's a Fenris thing. I am merely helping. But I just love it. So I was going to show you a bit of it. So if you did Rubble City 1, which is there's just stuff. This desk is so messy. I came here a few months ago to tidy, and it's a mess everywhere. So Rubble City, so these are all broken bits because this is his little sculpting pile where he converts, but you get the idea. So it's all just little bits, modular bits, which was Rubble City 1. And my mean feedback, because I do give very mean feedback to my friends, but in a nice way, because I said, hey, look, if you'll know if I don't like something, it's a bonus. So I got my Rubble City stuff off him from the first one. It's beautiful, and I said to him, what the heck am I supposed to do with this? He said, what? I was like, it's all bits. I don't know. And he's like, oh, you do all the behind me? What? What's behind me? Oh, sculpts. What was it? Oh, it's all the way over there. So my complaint about Rubble City 1 was, despite it being lovely, for people like me, I want the finished product. I want to just paint it. I want minimal assembly. I don't want to have to figure out how many of these I might need to do a thing. So he did take them on board. What have we got there? Oh, these are ace. I like these. Look at that. That's a thing. Oi. But so I'm going to skim over it, so I won't show you all the things. But what Rubble City 2 is he's put bits together basically, and you get the buildings either complete or in very obvious bits. And I should have grabbed the painty one. I'll do a whole thing on it actually. I'm going to do a little video about it. And what is this? There's so much treasure on this desk. I have to throw it all around. Yeah, I'll do a proper video on it because, yeah, I absolutely love it. And he doesn't know it yet, I was going to do a little interview sort of thing too. So basically, these models are outstanding. Absolutely love them, but Ian sucks at advertising. So I've been here doing the graphics, because if you'll know, Bad Squiddo Kickstarter is very sexy. So I've been doing the graphics, photo, and just, yeah, the sort of marketing stuff. So you'll see me posting around some places later on today. But it's buildings. So again, like, what is that? But yeah, your buildings all in one. And they're so useful. So you've got your fantasy, you've got your historical, and you can use it in the future as well. So there are loads of these chunk buildings. They're like the core of it. I've been naming them all as well. They didn't have names. I've been calling them funny stuff. So this is the condemned privy. Again, you can't fully see it with the light, but I'm going to do a proper thing. So this got a bit of rendering on it, as in physical, not. So all these hand sculpted, all cast in resin. These are just some of the examples. That's why there's a weird, oh, you can't even see it. So a weird soft bit on the bottom. These are the rando cast sections. So it's all these, but what have I got in front of me? No, I haven't got the roof bits. Oh yeah, I have. Whee! But then you get these that are a little ruined roof slabs. So they haven't got the full roof on them. So you can play in and around them, but you can make a full roof out of this bit. So I won't make a mess and get everything out, but they're all these. I've been photographing them, I love them. So it's all these roof bits. They're the modular. So you get all these like corners and stuff just that are, again, self-explanatory. It's not loads and loads of bits that you have to have, you know, building knowledge for. But he's putting them as add-ons, so I think if it was me, I would get the buildings, and then I'd get some rubbly bits just to make scatter with. So we got this, just what I don't want to make the place a mess. This is a dice tray made out of resin, so it's terrain. Again, it's all bleached to the light. It's terrain that you can roll your dice on. Also very cool. It's just a bit. And then these that I was working on yesterday, photographing, they're just little floor bits. See it poke them in. And they're just really smart. And I know it sounds like, again, I'm just selling things. I don't get anything out of this. I'm being paid in bacon sandwiches and an old hammer that I find around the place. So when I said I was freelancing, like I was getting this hourly wage or something, it was full on mates helping. But it's because I want to see it do good, because I really like it. And it's a shame to see if it didn't go what it should, purely because the marketing wasn't what it should, you know, what it could get out there. And again, that not lack of confidence, but not shyness, but that sort of thing you can have with your own product sometimes, where you make something great and people make something great and they're like, it's all right. You kind of need someone else to do the whole like, no, it's wicked. So I've been doing all of that, all this, making the things all sexy. So it's just nice photos rather than a photo on a workbench with loads of crap behind it. So I'm going to be doing more of that today. And I'm the hype person. But yeah, I've pretty much built the Kickstarter page. And I'll be sharing around some bits. I'm on the, I've been an admin on the Fenris Facebook for years now. So sometimes if you see a wicked post, it's because it's me. But that's it. And it ties in quite nicely, because that's what this is about. We all help each other out. And there's going to be levels of competition, and some of the stuff I said, oh, I see. Doing that, are you? Doing some treasure piles, that's what we do. Mother. So there's a bit of that. There's a bit of crossover. And there's always going to be, yeah, because you are natural. But it's not, I hate the word competitor. It's just, yeah, we've got the same customers to some extent. But I'm always confident that people will buy what they want to buy rather than anything slurping up sales so much. So yeah, even though you are in that same field, everyone just wants, well, not everyone, if you want to help other people do well, I'm sure I'll get Ian to help me on something. I don't know what yet. I'm just going to get him to give me it all. So I'll have this Kickstarter, please. But yeah, there's plenty of people like that we kind of just help each other out, and it's wicked. And that's what it should be about, rather than screwing people over. And yeah, there's plenty of people I don't like, and I just won't help them, but I won't actively screw them over. Nice to see you, Peter says, you know, other companies are going to ask you to help their Kickstarters now. So actually, I am a behind-the-scenes fairy. I help a lot. I do a lot. And I've been helping Fenris for quite a while. This is the first time I've fully gone in there. I normally do a bit, or pointers and stuff. But this time I was like, my Kickstarter now. I'm going to just do it. And it's good because it launches on Wednesday. It means he can focus on getting what he needs cast, getting the normal shop orders cast, getting those bits done, and then by the time he comes back to it, there'll be a built Kickstarter. And I said that it was what was it? Free to those who can afford it, very expensive to those who can't. I get a lot of people companies asking for advice and Kickstarter advice and free work, basically. And it's something I won't do. But if it's somebody I'm very good friends with and have that respect, of course I'll help people out. But I'll never. It's not something I do for money, because I did say to Ian yesterday, I wish I could just do this. This is great. I just want to casually pop around, photo stuff, do the advertising. It'd be great. And yeah, so lately I have helped a few with the graphics, and then again in my horrible Gordon Ramsay bit where I go, you are not sending this out to the public. What is this monstrosity? Because that's it. I don't know where I'm rambling. What am I rambling on to? But yeah, I'll always help out as much as I can with people I like, and they'll help me back. But people I don't like, I'll get my help. Woo! So they don't get anything. What do you mean you don't work for exposure? I do. It's me working for exposure. Here we go. Stuff. Still had today's headline, Annie still good bean. Yes, I made it. Not cancelled yet. Not yet. Yeah, so I'm a bit of a ramble with the bright light. I wonder if my bacon's ready yet. That's it, payment in bacon. But yeah, it's helped me because I'm out of my own rut a bit, and even though I've been working my arse off over here, my caster very cheekily said that I was having half a week off. So I'm working harder here than I was at home. It's helped me out, give me that little yay, I'm useful and helpful buzz, and out the routine. And Ian has a very, very cute dog called Oscar. So I've been out walking Oscar and just getting some fresh country air. So that has been very good. Oh, there's definitely a job in Kickstarter marketing. Well, there is for larger companies. That's people's whole jobs. Who is it? Mantic. Yeah, Mantic were advertising for one. And I did say to a few people, I could just ditch all this stress and get a paid job. But for small companies, there's what have I missed going on here? Yeah, small companies, there's a definite gap because there's a lot, and you know, Ian will moan now. So there's a lot of older people. I'm in a lucky position because I've got a variety of skills and I can figure it out. There's a lot of older people with the skill of like being able to make the thing, but not do some of the what's it? Looking up stuff. My brain. I have no idea where I was going with that. I have absolutely no idea. It's gone. It's gone. What was it saying? Doing things. Wow, that entirely gone. I had no idea. Is Oscar a corgi? If not, they can only be very cute, if not very, very cute. Though Oscar is a husky, some staffy cross, I think. There are many Oscar pictures on the Twitter. I'm sure I was saying something really smart there, and it was going. Yeah, same. Yeah, production for smaller companies that are kind of a one person that will have that gap. There's a lack of that companies that you can work with, and yeah, there's a gap. Anyone who's decent at that, I'd definitely say there's a gap for that job of just helping small companies in general. But if it's something so say like wargaming, there'd totally be a gap for someone to be a marketer and just go, I'm a marketer for little companies, affordable rates. You just go, right, I'm going to post it around all these places. I'm going to do your graphics for this. Because a lot of that is aimed at bigger companies, and then the sky's the limit. But yeah, I see a lot where I see stuff where I go, that's really good, but they've not done it justice. And that was the case with some of this, where I thought it's just so good. It is the best terrain that I've seen. And it's going to really annoy me. Just out of like, it's going to annoy me if it goes up and the picture's crap and doesn't get the attention it needs. So that's what also satisfies my, it's like when you want to alphabeticize someone's stuff. I'm like, make it better. Right, I'm going to go. I will do a proper video going through. I'll probably come back here next week. Ian doesn't know that yet, so I've just said that. But I'll come back here next week and get a load of the stuff, get some videos just showing it all off, because it's ace. And we're going to take some pictures next week of some of the terrain with like my Soviets around it to show that it's not just fantasy, because it's just ruined bricks. Just ruined bricks. So yeah, you can use it for World War II as well. Just get more, so if people see things set up like that as well, they're like, oh yeah, cool. And yeah, I see a lot of, as a ruins enthusiast, I see a lot of brickworky things where they're really regimented, and especially when it's digital, you can just be like, do the lines, but there's a brick. But these have all been built brick by brick. So it's cast bricks. So that's, again, not just so you can see some of the texture. It's been built brick by brick, and that's what really makes it. And yeah, the one that he has painted up with all the little branches and stuff is just like it's just really realistic, and I love it. So yes, thanks for coming along. I hope that made sense. Avenge my death if I go missing after this. And yeah, hopefully that was interesting, because I like to give some insights, and yeah, in just a factual way rather than anything else. I will see you all next Sunday, no doubt. I'll get that all set up, and thanks for being excellent. Where are we? Where's the end? Goodbye. Bye. Thank you.